ideas and what life's about, and we can talk about me, we can talk about you, you can ask questions. So here's just you just talked about a gorgeous idea. So you said basically, look for it, but it could be, anyone. Everyone has some level of flaw, Now, you seem to have a very high level of contradiction, but whatever, this is not about. So you're saying that the will of God, or the light, if you will, is refracted through the prism of the vessel. And if the vessel itself is flawed, well then the light's going to come out in a flawed way. And I think that's actually a stunningly brilliant perception. One of the ways that people call that these days, is what we call states and stages. So just give it to you really in 1 second. I think you'll like the idea. So let's say you have 3 stages of moral consciousness. Let's say egocentric, all about me, ethnocentric, my people, world-centric, everybody, okay? And let's say that's your stage of consciousness, Kohlberg, your moral stage. Then you have a state, means your mystical state, your beautiful state. A state comes and goes. So if I have a beautiful mystical state experience, but I'm at an ethnocentric level of consciousness, and that's my vessel is ethnocentric, so let's say I'm a shaman, but I'm ethnocentric, it's just my people. So I'll say, well, I just had this beautiful mystical shamanic state, let's go slaughter the next tribe, right? Because my stage of consciousness is ethnocentric, that's the vessel. Mm-hmm. And what you pointed out, which I think is gorgeous and true, and the Talmud talks about it, is that who you are is the prism through which the light's refracted. This is a beautiful idea by itself. So in other words, you can be really great on the meditation mat, but you may have terrible shadow you haven't integrated. And if it's a narcissistic personality disorder, which was an example that you gave, well, that's going to come through.
Exactly.
It's a very powerful perception, which means, for you, for me, for everybody, that we need to do 2 kinds of work in the world, because we're all imperfect vessels for the light. One kind of work we have to do is our states. We have to try and get to deep understanding, intellect, spiritual states. But we also have to work on ourselves spiritually, ethically, psychologically, because you can be psychologically completely messed up, even though you're having beautiful state experiences. Is that reflecting correctly? Which I think that's a gorgeous perception.
Right.
So I appreciate that. So basically, there's a contradiction. It's a deep, unresolved contradiction in you. The analogy to the movie. I don't mean to. God forbid, no analogy between you and Hitler. But that's not my point at all. But no, it's not cool. But you basically, guy likes puppies on the one hand. On the other hand, he's gassing Jews. So you're talking about that level of deep and profound contradiction. Okay.
And I like puppies.
And I like puppies, but you don't gas Jews.
But I don't gas Jews.
But you do bad shit on the web.
These are Thursdays. Thursday's a total gas-free day.
Thursday's gas-free day? Yeah. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Well, I just want to tell you, Luke, that, all this talk about me sexual harassing, I'm really just into barnyard animals. I try and keep that quiet.
Okay.
Gafni is into barnyard animals. Oh my God. And I'm also responsible for global warming. No one knows that. Global warming is me. And I've got something to do with famine in Africa. But could you not disperse this tape too big? Just kind of between us, this stuff? All right, we're cool.
Secret safe with me.
Secret safe. Secret safe with Luke Ford. Hey, how many people listening? How safe would that make you feel? All right. So let me go on a little bit, okay? So thank you. Let's go to step 2. So the second thing we talked about today was a kind of natural division we had talking in the car and talking to, what was his name? Morgan. As we were buying our thank you for
your first digital.
My first digital tape recorder, and Lucas pointed out that 99% of the world is ahead of me in high tech, and I'm a bad driver. Mm-hmm. But you're also a bad driver.
Yes.
Okay. So we're talking to Morgan, and we had this little conversation which came up a couple of times, which is, are people basically good? Mm-hmm. Are people basically bad stuff? Mm-hmm. People are basically bad. And my basic position is, I'm just going to say it again, and if I'm saying it inaccurately, correct me, right? But my basic position is people often act out of narrow self-interest, but at their deepest place, people are ultimately good. That at their deepest place, people are divine. At their deepest place, people are gorgeous, they're beautiful. At their deep place, turn myself
I'm concerned that you'll run over your phone with the chair.
Thank you. See, that's your goodness coming through, Luke. So look at that.
I'm done with why don't you put it there?
Put it there. See, but that was purely altruistic. You had no interest in that. You were purely concerned, right? You had no reason to tell me that.
Right.
Why'd you do it?
Instinct.
And no, goodness. You were taking care of me in that moment, right? And I appreciate it, right? It's complete goodness. Yeah. But let me just try and frame it. I'll give it over to you, and you'll say whatever you say. But my basic feeling is that ultimately, people at their core actually love other people. People at their core actually want to be good. People at their core are good. People at their core feel better when they're living meaningful lives. People at their core are what we call in Judaism homo imago Dei. Well, that's Latin, but Selam Elohim, right? They're Dante called baby-faced divines. People are beautiful. They're loving, right? People are devastated when they're betrayed. They're devastated because it's a violation of something essential and beautiful in a human being. People feel most alive and most aligned with the universe, with divinity, the way the Kabbalists would say it, when they're actually expressing their basic good nature. That's kind of the Gafni position here. So why instead of me giving your position?
Okay, so that's why I hated soul prints.
Right.
And that's why,
now we're getting to it. Okay.
That's why I hate some of your teaching.
Okay, good.
I think the first two statements you made, that people are basically good, and that when they're at their deepest place, that they tend to be good and loving. It's not a falsifiable assertion. It's a feeling that you have, and so it can't be falsified. So it's like someone who says, I feel that Jesus is Lord. Come in.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, it's totally fake.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is another example, Luke, of just natural goodness.
Mango green tea.
Thank you. Now let me ask you a question. We're going to do a little test here. Someone just brought us, if I can just describe the scene, someone just brought us a beautiful drink. Now, we don't have your permission to say your name on one because we're now on air. But did you do this for an ulterior motive or just to be good?
Mine's poison.
Right. Oh my God! You see, this is an example of a person who she was just being good.
Yeah, but I'm a cynic. So.
Thank you very much.
I'm a natural born hostess. You're wearing a funny hat that matches my dog's.
Hey, that's my yarmulke.
Keeps falling off.
Keeps falling off. Cheers.
Cheers.
You need to be so far. He's
like a
terrible driver.
No, we're good. So give me your position.
Okay. So
now we're finally understanding why you didn't like soul prints.
Exactly.
But why didn't you like your girlfriend? Because she didn't like soul prints.
Well, because she was into this Kabbalistic nonsense.
I got you. Okay, now we're getting to the core of this one here. Okay. What was her name?
I won't say it.
I'm sorry.
For her sake.
Okay. Can we just drink
Yeah,
whatever's good in her?
Yeah.
Whatever's good in her.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
To what's good in her.
Thank you so much. Oh, what a beautiful flower.
Thank you very, very much.
So fragrant.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I'm more of an empiricist.
Okay.
And so I would argue that human beings basically tend towards moral depravity unless there's something special going on in their life to point them towards the transcendent. And the empirical basis for my belief is human history, say the 20th century, where there are tens of millions of people, innocent people were murdered. But basically every army in the world, when it can, it rapes. It rapes en masse. About the only army that doesn't is Israel. Maybe the American one doesn't. But pretty much every other army, when it has defenseless women under its power, it rapes en masse. Because it can. And so I would argue to you that all men, unless there's something extraordinarily good going on in them, or they're timid, all men are basically rapists. And the thing that keeps most men from raping is not because in their deep place they're good. It's because they're afraid of getting caught.
So let me go back. That first, that sounds like Dennis Prager to me, right? So I've seen that line in Dennis. And let me try and kind of unpack it both in terms of Luke and what I've seen Prager talk about. And let me try and I think there might be a way to kind of get to a deeper place here. When I say all people are in their deepest place good, I'm not saying that all people are naturally good. Meaning, I'm not saying that a person's default position is goodness. A person's default position is not goodness. That's clear. That would be idiocy to suggest otherwise. What I was saying is that if I can kind of describe it to you, right, that the default position of a person, as the Torah says, the nature of man is evil from his youth. So the default position of a person will be, they'll do bad stuff. Right? However,